This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Greg Schmidt. I'll be the presenter for today's webinar. And today's topic is working with your IBMI data and remote databases. Today you will learn how you can use all your business data across your entire network to tell a story, no matter if it's IBMI DB2 or Windows SQL based. In today's fast-paced business world, companies need to be able to access and use the business data they collect daily to tell stories that will help them make fast but yet informed decisions. In most cases, that data that might not all live in one place or even on the same type of database. Being able to bring data all together into one solution and understand and turn that raw data and sometimes complex data into insights and then use those insights to create actionable items is key to your ongoing business strategy. Again, my name is Greg Schmidt. I'm a 20+ year veteran in the data, document, forms, and process automation here at Help Systems with specialties in business intelligence and document and forms automation. I have been key in helping companies automate their data and document processes and streamline their troublesome and often cumbersome business processes through technology and strategic planning for digital transformation. I also help guide companies in best practices for implementation and solution expansion within organizations. I have over a decade's worth of experience on the IBMI report and data distribution and robotic process automation technology as well. Okay, on to today's agenda. I'm going to start with a quick overview of the Digital Transformation Toolkit and then move into the main topic for today, working with your IBMI data and remote databases. And then I'll be doing a live demonstration of our SQL Business Intelligence solution on how easy it is to connect to the data on those remote databases and use it. And then I'll be finishing up with some Q&A at the end. Feel free to enter your questions into the chat window and I will address them towards the end of the webinar if time allows. Please select all presenters so all the questions are directed towards me. I will also plan to complete this session in about 30 minutes so you'll have plenty of time to make your next important meeting. Also, today's event is being recorded and you'll receive a link after the webinar to share with anyone in your organization who could not attend today's session. With the Help Systems Digital Transformation Suite of solutions, we can help you at every level of your digital transformation journey. Starting with business intelligence, which we'll be talking more about today. It's used for accessing your business data by allowing you to examine, measure, and extract insights, and in turn improve the company's competitive advantages by seeing data trends and measuring effectiveness. Document and report management for secure access and approval of documents and reports. Forms management for the web-based forms data collection and document creation and approval of business forms. Advanced OCR and data extraction of documents and also document classification automation so that you can automate the data and document capture process along with the data document classification, which you can in turn use that data to eliminate the keying of the data into your databases and into your ERP or line of business systems. Robotic process automation to be able to orchestrate and automate business user and server-based tasks that are done manually today. And last of all, we can help you with any of your departmental process automations like accounts receivable, accounts payable, and also your HR processes. Now on to today's main topic. Data collection or discovery is the first step of that BI journey. With this stage, it is sometimes more about discovery than collection. Meeting with users and business units to discover where the data is at that they need to collect and also use on a daily basis. You need to be able to map out all the locations of where that data is at and stored and where it lives at, so you have knowledge of where it's at. So if you need it, you can go get that information. This will also allow you to be able to create connections directly to this data, to those different databases and different tables and stuff that you have out there with the data, to be able to, format it, and in some cases even create what we call templates. So IT can create access to more of those complex data sets directly, and then give those to the end users that might not have, database or SQL knowledge. I'll be showing and talking more about that in the live demonstration in the first part, so you'll sort of see that, how easy it is to be able to give users that access there. But remember, in this first step, collection and discovery, you will still need to understand and have a firm grip on what is the data people want and what is useful to them to make decisions, so that you know sort of what they're going to need to work with from that standpoint. I'll be talking more about this as we go along here through the slides and stuff in the presentation here today, to give you a better understanding of those three main steps on using a BI solution. But just remember, you first still need to know what data you're working with and where it's at to be able to paint the right picture and deliver it to them. Without the data, there really is no story to tell. So making sure you have the right data is key to starting out correctly. So here are a few questions, some simple questions you might want to ask yourself when you're starting this process here. Where is the data that I need? What format is the data in? Can I get access to that data? Collecting data from all the different data sources and pulling everything together into one spot is key to the optimization of the data discovery process. Not only for the business, but also for the user community as well. Information systems like vendor management systems, document and workflow approval systems, to ticketing systems, CRMs, and even HR systems can be part of the data collection process. All business systems on your company's network are there for a reason and have data that can be used to make better and faster decisions for the company. It's just a matter of getting access to it and organizing it for the users to use. Again, in most organizations, the business data that is collected on an everyday basis lives in some kind of system or database. It might be DB2 databases. It even might be Microsoft SQL databases, MySQL, or even Oracle databases. But you'll still need to be able to give access to that data in different ways. With SQL, we can connect to any type of database that has a type 4 JDBC driver connection capability. With SQL, we make it very easy and painless to access that data. You don't even need to download a driver. It's already there when you install the application. And on to the next one here. So understanding your data. After you have found the data and where it lives, you need to be able to understand it better. By understanding each strategic piece of data and how it impacts the overall health of the organization will provide you visibility into your organization's inner workings and will help you make informed decisions with that data that you are presenting to users. Being able to tell the story with the data and presenting it to users in different ways, so they can also massage and work with that data to complete their data story. And by doing so, they can turn that data into insights and usable, actionable items. Taking the raw data that your business generates and creating actionable insights that users can interact with in real time is called active intelligence. Being able to use not only historical data in the data story, but use real-time data that you are collecting. Allowing for interaction to the live business data will let you look at what is happening now and see trends in real time, so decisions can be made fast with accuracy, because the real-time data is at your fingertips in a usable and in sometimes graphical formats to make it easier to see what the data is trying to say. And let's not forget about everyone might be at a different level when it comes to understanding data. But there's no need for anyone to fear the data. No matter what level of SQL skills you're at, Or if you don't even know what SQL is, you can still access the data and use it efficiently. Let the technology do the work for you. We can help you at every level, from expert level, medium level, beginner level, all the way to the end user level with no SQL skills at all. Our easy to use interface allows you to get to the data easily and tell your story with the data. Now on to the last topic, sharing and deploying data to the business users. Deploying data to the users is the last step, but not less important than any of the other steps. In most cases, it's the most important step normally, where you may start the process with what ways that users want or need to see the data. So starting with the end in mind is key. There will be some instances that users might be the ones accessing or creating views over the data themselves, but in most organizations, users and management want the data delivered to them directly. Now, if that's via a report like a PDF file or even an Excel file because they might need to massage that data more, or sometimes, or I should say, one of the trends that we've been seeing lately is more around dashboarding. So a dashboard is given to them so that they have multiple views in one dashboard. So one single interface that might have graphs and charts and even drill down elements into the behind the scenes data. And again, each user might need that data in a different way because of their job functions and how they need to complete that data story. They can use dashboards for analyzing key business metrics at high levels, or have those drill downs into the behind the scenes data to see the trends and the insights. They could use pivot tables for looking at the data and slicing and dicing it in different ways, using drill down analysis for increased transparency to information behind the scenes, and also graphs and charts can be added for visual representation to the data. And last of all, also giving users the capability of on-demand access to data, such as one-click output to Excel via the Microsoft Excel plugins. With SQL, users can access data views directly via any of the SQL interfaces, like the web interface, the desktop interface, dashboards, or even use those Excel plugins like I was just talking about, so they can visualize and work with the data and get to the data they need and to tell the story with speed and accuracy. Understanding your data is very important, not so you just know where the data is at, but also how is the best way to deliver it to users. Again, one of those common best practices in most organizations we've been seeing is deploying more than one data view to a user or to a user community via a dashboard that is made up from multiple views that can be populated from those different data sources. This is a way for a user or a user community to get a lot of data at one time and make it very usable to them. Here's how that data story vision comes together with SQL BI. SQL BI is built with DB2 in mind, but it also allows you to work with all other kinds of business data that might live on your network as well. You can collect and discover data from all those business systems that might be DB2 or Oracle or MySQL or SQL, Microsoft SQL Server. Understand and design around that data that was collected for real-time access to those business insights, and then share and deploy to the business users. With keeping that end result in mind at all times, we offer a variety of ways to provide users the data they need and apply automation options if needed to streamline it for IT and the business users. Dashboards, again, for now analyzing key business metrics, pivot tables for looking into the data and slicing and dicing it in all sort of different ways, drill down analysis for increased transparency to the information behind the scenes, graphs and charts for the visual representation of the data, and also on-demand access such as one-click output to Excel. All right, now we're to the fun part. I always like this part, the live demonstration part. So today's process is going to be around some of that collection and discovery process. So I'm going to go through a couple easy ways that you can work with the solution to be able to, access what we call templates, or work with the data in a couple different ways. And then we're going to go through understanding and design process, and then a quick share and deploy option as well, through our SQL web interface, and then also a dashboard. All right, here, let me switch over here. All right, here, let me launch the application. And as I'm doing this, logging into the system here, please feel free to enter any questions into the chat window. I'll log in here and I'll show you from scratch here. So the application that I'm going to be going through is a couple different things here. So I'm going to first start out with a couple different ways we can design that. So we do have what we call a template option, where I can come here and actually hit the new button and actually start from a template. This would be if you have users that have little or no SQL knowledge whatsoever. You can actually deploy certain things to them directly, so they can sort of slice and dice some of that and get the information they want there at that point. Now, for I'll call it intermediate to advanced, and even some beginner level here too, is we have the capability when we design, design through the interface here as well. We have that capability to be able to interact with more of a wizard type interface, and also more of the raw SQL if you want to be able to see some of that raw SQL. So as I go through here, you see it's connecting to this one's connecting actually to a SQL database in the background here. So it's providing me some SQL information and database information here. And I'll show you how I got to that too. So we can create all those different kinds of database connections here. And inside of here, when you start a view, what you'll do is you'll go into the properties of that view, and there's some different database options here. So that you can connect to. Some of mine here are for my form system and some of the other business systems that I have access to here. This one is actually connecting to a workflow approval system. So I'll be able to see different kinds of workflows and approvals and stuff like that, and be able to give access to the AP department for that information. But we have all that capability here to be able to connect to those different databases and make them accessible to the person designing the form through the interface. And you see here, like I said, files and fields is a nice visual way to be able to interact with the interface. We also have that SQL tab. So if you want to see the raw SQL, you can go and see that raw SQL inside of here during this process as well. We have the design builder. That's more of a, I'll call it a template or wizard-based view too. If I do the design view, you'll see it come up with more of a tabular view. And this tabular view is going to give me access to the data sources, and it's going to ask me different questions during this process. So it's going to guide that user to how to be and how and what they want to be able to access from these different different pieces during the process. I'm going to cancel this here. I'm going to go back to my normal view here, so you can see this. I'm going to do the files and fields option here. This files and fields option here, you'll see I have a couple different options here. I got some view options or display options. I can come up and display it now and see what that pulls back. But in this case, I want to be able to get some more data into this report. So I want to be able to add another table in here. So in this case here, I'm going to add another database. And this case here, I'm going to add this table from this database. And I'm going to do something in here too. So we make it very easy for you to be able to interact with certain things as well. So if I want to be able to do joins and do different things with the databases, I can do all kinds of different join capabilities in here by dragging and dropping. There's some options inside of here. I can do some other join options up on top here too. But it's very easy to be able to interact and go back through that process. Now, I'm going to make this one pretty simple here for today's purposes, but I'm going to take some of this information here, like I want to pull the document date in here. So I'm going to drag that document date down there. I'm going to take the department down here. I'm going to take the workflow, some of this other workflow information. And what I'm doing is I'm building all my columns and rows of data at this point during this process. So I can pull that all into my view here at this point. So, and I can come in here and actually do different things with that view. So maybe I want to say, geez, what's this view going to look like with all this information? I can hit this display button. This display button is actually going to go out and run this query and give me this information here very easily through the interface. It's also going to allow me to do some different things with this data. It's going to let me do some totaling. It's going to also let me do some ascending, descending options inside here if I want to. And it's also going to let me do charts and graphs with that information. So very easy to do some nice graphs and charts with that raw data. And you'll see this come up a little bit later here. I got a view or a dashboard built for demonstration purposes that I was going to show here at the end. So to show you how it all comes together from a visual standpoint, but this gives you that quick capability here to be able to update some of this information. You know, there's different things that we can do in here too. You can get pretty crazy with this stuff, and it's all done through the visual interface. So if you want to do expression editors and stuff like that, like say you want to do where statements, date formatting, you know, all that stuff, and/ors and stuff like that with some of the data. Mine's pretty straightforward. I just have a quick join in here. Then I want to be able to display the data that's inside of here, but we could, you know, do different where clauses and stuff like that too, if need be. So a very powerful piece here. From this standpoint, I'm just going to do that quick one here and show you this here. So that's sort of that result inside of here. So being able to see some of that table information inside of here from that standpoint. But you know, there's different things that you can do from that from the display, like I was talking about. Once I display this information, you can see I have access to that, and then I have access to do different things with that. So if I want this to be a PDF report, or if I want it to be an Excel output, I can kick it out to those different processes at that point. Now with this one here, I'm not going to save this. I'm going to show you another thing here, but I can save that to a library, give access to that library then for someone to run that. Now there's a couple different interfaces they can run that from. They could always run that from you know, by double clicking through the viewpoint interface itself, right? And then run that. But this is a desktop client, right? So maybe you don't want to deploy the full desktop client to someone. We do have the web interface as well. So if you wanted to, you know, be able to give that web interface to someone, now you can't design in this interface. It's more of for a deployment method. But the really nice thing about this is you can deploy and give access to these different views inside of here to be able to run those views. And running those views might just be simply as, hey, I'm going to double click on a view inside of here. I need to access the data. And it might be multiple views that they want to run, so they can actually open up multiple views inside of the SQL web interface here. And so this is the data here you see that I had. They might say, I need to save these results. They can download them as different file formats that they want to. So they could export it out to Excel if they wanted to, or do a PDF document out of it. They could print it. They could email it. They could create charts with that data again. They might say, geez, I need to see, you know, some chart data inside of here, or create a nice little graph for a presentation or something like that. So that gives them that capability to get to that data and show that data. And you see how it's creating those different tabs here for them as well as they do that. Now that's one way. So you have access to those individual views through what we call the SQL web interface. So you would have access to do some stuff like that through here. But we can also create dashboards. So one of the options, if we go back to the viewpoint designer here, we can create different things. So I might say I want to create a new view over data, but maybe I want to create a new dashboard. So we do have that dashboard capability inside of here as well. So if there are dashboards that you want to create and design around, you can create simple and easy to use dashboards with real-time and or historical data even inside of here. So I'll just show you this really quick, and then I'll show you this. So this is more of the design standpoint, but so we can actually design around these different pieces here. So what it's doing, it's going to go back and load each piece of data for these different views I have. Now remember, a view could be to a DB2 database and pulling up data tables there, right? It could be pulling data from a MySQL server or an SQL server. In my case here, these last couple tabs here are coming. So these are all coming from DB2 here. These last couple tabs are coming from my workflow approval system, which is coming from an SQL server. So you'll see that data is being populated into this view here for me to be able to use. Now you have full control over when you're doing this stuff to be able to insert, new graphics and make it as visual as you want at that point, right? It might be all charts, it might be all graphs, might be all data that you're throwing on the screen, but you can do all that stuff from the visual standpoint. Now, how that looks from a web interface standpoint. So it's basically just logging into the portal, right? So being able to hit that URL, shortcut or desktop link on there, and then being able to access that process there. So this is how it would be deployed. It would be through the web browser, and then they can see different pieces of information. Sometimes it's a quick little gauges like that. Sometimes it's action items like this or action buttons. That they want to be able to do. And action buttons might be, hey, this goes to another statement or another view out there for data. It might be an action item saying, hey, I want to email someone so I can have it prompt me for something inside of the process here too. So I can say, hey, prompt, and then send the results to somewhere. So you can do different things like that. It could be, hey, I want to do a PDF of something, a PDF report. So this could generate a PDF report. But this allows you to work with the data as well. So you can see this is all interactive charts. So if I only want to see south and west, I can select those different options here. Or maybe I want to say, hey, I don't like this graph chart. I want to do more of a a pie chart or something with labels and stuff on it. So you can change these different types of things once they're in here and as users want to interact with them. And you see mine here is more data driven, and then I have the data below inside of here. So this allows you to interact with these different pie charts and different things here from the user standpoint, and see the data behind the scenes in this case too. Might be other dashboards you want to be able to connect to. So we have that capability to be able to launch into other dashboards as well. The last thing I want to show you here from the dashboard standpoint is drill downs capability. So maybe it's some of this data I see it as, I'll say it's chart level. It's it's charted out inside of here, but maybe I want to see what makes up a certain value or certain graph or chart in here. So we can actually do different kinds of things like regroup and show details behind the scenes. So this will give you the option to do things, right? Like show details, but it's going to ask you, hey, what details do you want to show? So someone's going to have to select that, right? In some cases, you want it to be more of a user drill down that they're guided to from that standpoint, more of a planned drill down structure, right? So maybe when they click down on a drill down like that, you might have a couple questions that are asked, right? Like who purchased this item, or what else did they purchase? Maybe the salesperson wants to say, hey, what else did they purchase, in the last 12 months or something like that. So you can actually drill down into some of this data elements with those different fields inside of here with those populated drop downs. So we make it very easy for you to be able to see high level or get to that raw data and dig down into some of that analysis information if need be, and slice and dice it different ways. All right, here, I am going to open it up here for some questions now from the standpoint, because I want to make sure that I don't run over here. I know we're coming up on time. And give me a second as I read some of the questions here. All right. Oh, there's a lot of questions here today. Boy. All right. I think this one came in earlier before I answered it, but it basically says that they have 3 business systems that they connect to, 3 to 4 business systems that they connect to, and all of the data lives in different kinds of databases on their network. Can they manage that through our system? And so basically going back to the presentation or just that last to the dashboard, yes, you can. So you can connect to each one of those different kinds of data sources, create those different views, and then if you want from those different views, create a dashboard that might be connecting to all those different sources from that standpoint. So we make it very easy for you to be able to work with that. And also might even be a plug-in to some of that data into Excel. So if it's some Excel data they want to be able to work with and manipulate some of that data more, we could even drill down into data that way as well. All right, and just for time's sake wise, I know we're at 29 minutes, I think, right now. I'm gonna take one more question and then we'll get back to everybody after this as well that has questions in already, but there are quite a few more. It says, I have data in a Microsoft SQL server and I want to be able to access that. Do I need any special drivers or downloads to install? No, if MySQL, the one I was doing there, in my presentation there, or in the demonstration, that was all done with what was built into the SQL Viewpoint application. So there's nothing that needs to be installed, or new drivers that need to be installed. We can access that information from that standpoint as well. And then let's see, there's a question about security. I want to take this one because this is very important too. So it's basically saying, how do I ensure that someone doesn't get to the data behind the scenes? So we are authenticating username and password. So if you do not have access to something, that user does not have access to something, they're not going to see it just because it's connected to that database. So we are passing authentication to those different databases during that process. All right, there's still a lot of, like I said, there's still a lot of great questions out there, but I'm not gonna have time to get to all of them. So we will be following up with after the webinar here today. So feel free to, you can still enter them in here until I'm done, and then we can always get back to you as well. But thanks for attending today's webinar. We hope you learned some helpful information about working with your IBM I data and remote databases, and also how SQL can help you on that BI journey. If you have any additional questions, always feel free to reach out to us and your sales representative here at Help Systems. And we'll also be, happy to schedule a free consultation or a one-on-one demonstration to address any of the questions or, questions you might have in the future. You'll receive a link to this webinar to share with anyone in your company or organization who could not attend today's session, or for you to refer back to at a later time. Thanks again for attending today's webinar. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.